Raven County, Nevada, 6:38 p.m. early autumn. The desert wind tasted like copper and rain. At the gates of the Hellsangels compound, a woman in a faded denim jacket stood with a small girl hiding behind her legs. "I was told," she said softly, "you need a cook." The bikers went dead silent. "Before we start this story, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? Also, please subscribe to the channel. It will help us to bring you more inspiring stories every day." The engines had just gone quiet when she appeared, headlights behind her fading into dust. Jackson Hawk Mercer, president of the Hells Angels Raven County chapter, was wiping oil off his hands when the knock echoed through the clubhouse door. It wasn't the kind of knock this place usually got. 3 slow, polite taps. He opened the door halfway, expecting a dealer, a drifter, maybe trouble. Instead, there she was, small frame, wind-burned face, holding a cracked recipe binder tight to her chest. "I'm looking for work," she said. "Was told you boys needed a cook." Her voice was steady but tired, like someone used to being told no. Then Hawk noticed movement behind her. A girl, maybe 8 or 9, clutching a stuffed rabbit, eyes too wise for her age. The men behind Hawk fell silent. One muttered, "We don't hire families." But Hawk didn't move. He just stared at the kid, and for the first time in months he couldn't find his words. Inside, the air smelled of grease, whiskey, and worn leather. The woman hesitated at the threshold, taking it all in. Tattooed men, half-built bikes, a radio murmuring old blues. "I can cook, clean, and stay out of the way," she said. "We just need a place to be." The child beside her didn't speak. She only held her mother's hand, eyes locked on the framed patches and photographs hanging crooked on the wall. Brothers in leather, their smiles frozen before time took them. "What's your name?" Hawk finally asked. "Marla," she said. "And this is Ellie." Hawk rubbed his jaw, weighing the storm behind those names. He'd seen women come and go, most running from something worse than hunger. "You from around here?" "Nowhere worth writing down," she answered. Hawk looked at the girl again, shoes worn to threads, shirt patched at the collar. He took a deep breath and stepped aside. "Kitchen's through the back," he said quietly. And just like that, the gatekeeper of Raven County let 2 strangers into the one place built to keep everyone out. The first night, Marla cooked with whatever she found: beans, canned meat, stale bread. Somehow she made it smell like home. The angels ate in silence, used to noise but not warmth. Hawk watched from the corner, arms folded. The way she moved was calm but quick, like she'd done this for men who didn't talk much before. When Ellie spilled a cup of water, Marla's hand shot out gently. "It's okay, baby," she whispered. The word baby caught the room off guard. "Your kid?" One of the younger riders, Diesel, asked bluntly. Marla nodded. "Yeah, my only reason for breathing." Diesel looked at Hawk, then shrugged. "She can stay if the food's like this." Hawk didn't smile, but something softened behind his eyes. When the plates were cleared, Ellie fell asleep by the jukebox, rabbit in her arms. Hawk threw his cut over her shoulders without thinking, Marla noticed. Their eyes met, hers questioning, his unreadable. He turned away before the look could become something dangerous. Days passed. The clubhouse began to sound different. Less like chaos, more like life. Marla fixed engines between meals, wiping grease off her palms like she'd done it for years. Ellie drew pictures in chalk on the concrete floor. Bikes with angel wings. The men pretended not to notice, but they started leaving coins near her drawings like offerings. Hawk watched it all quietly. One afternoon, Diesel asked, "You sure about letting them stay, Prez? Word gets around could make us look soft." Hawk glanced toward the kitchen, where Marla was singing softly under her breath. "Kindness ain't weakness," he muttered. "Sometimes it's the only thing that keeps you human." Diesel looked away. "You've changed, boss." Hawk's jaw clenched. Maybe that's the point. Later that night, Hawk found Ellie asleep again, this time under a hanging flag that read, "Live loud, die free." He covered her with a clean blanket. Marla saw from the doorway but said nothing. She just whispered, "Thank you," and for the first time he let himself answer, "You're welcome." But peace doesn't last long in Raven County. The next morning, a black SUV rolled up the dirt road, tires crunching gravel. Hawk's gut twisted before he even saw the plates. Government issue. 3 men in suits stepped out, one flashing a badge. "ATF," he said. "We're looking for a woman named Marla Jennings." Every biker in the yard froze. Diesel's cigarette fell from his mouth. Hawk stepped forward. "She works here." "What's this about?" "Her ex-husband," the agent said, checking his clipboard. "Federal witness. Disappeared last year. She's listed under protective watch." Hawk turned slightly. Marla stood behind him, pale as ash, Ellie clinging to her side. "Please," she whispered, voice cracking. "He wasn't a witness. He was a monster." The air went still. Hawk didn't ask what she meant. He didn't need to. He just stepped between her and the badge, his voice low, final. "She's under my protection now." The agent met his eyes, measured him and smirked. "Then you just made yourself part of her story." The ATF convoy kicked dust across the horizon as they left, but the silence they left behind felt heavier than gunfire. Marla stood frozen near the door, hands trembling. Ellie hid her face in her mother's jacket. Hawk watched the agents disappear, then turned back slowly. "What the hell's going on, Marla?" His tone wasn't cruel, just careful. She took a shaky breath. "My husband, Eli Jennings, ran guns across state lines under fake manifests. When he got caught, he blamed me. Said I kept the books. They offered him a deal, witness protection. Instead, he vanished. But before he ran, he made sure the feds had my name on the file." Hawk rubbed a hand over his face, pacing. "So they think you're part of it." She nodded. "Been running 2 years. Ellie hasn't been to school since." Diesel exhaled. "That's a rough hand." Hawk's eyes met hers. "You stay quiet. Nobody touches you here." Marla swallowed hard. "You don't even know me." "Don't need to," Hawk said. "I know him, the kind of man who leaves someone like you holding his mess." That night, the compound was a storm of whispers. Some of the younger angels didn't like it. Harboring someone wanted by the feds felt like baiting a trap. Others, the older riders who'd done time, just nodded quietly. They knew what loyalty looked like when it hurt. Hawk sat alone in the garage, staring at an old photo taped to the toolbox. His younger brother, Mason, smiling. Gone now, shot in a sting gone wrong, one led by the same agency that showed up today. Marla's voice broke the silence. "You lost someone, didn't you?" He didn't look up. "Everyone here has." She stepped closer, wiping grease from her hands. "But you didn't stop building." He finally met her eyes. "If I stop, I start thinking." "That's worse." Marla studied him a moment. "You're not what I expected from a biker. And you're not what I expected from a fugitive," he said. A faint smile tugged at her mouth. "Guess we both hide better than we lie." Outside, thunder rolled across the desert. Inside, something quieter began to take its place. The next morning, the air was cool and sharp, smelling of wet dust. Ellie ran around the bikes barefoot, laughing for the first time since she arrived. Hawk watched from the porch, a rare half-smile forming. Diesel leaned on a post beside him. "You know, Prez," he said, "the last time I saw you smile like that, we still had payphones." Hawk chuckled under his breath. "Feels weird, huh?" Diesel nodded. "Kid's good for this place. Makes it feel less haunted, but that piece was fragile." Later, when Hawk checked the perimeter cameras, he saw a flicker of motion near the highway, a black pickup, watching the compound from the ridge. He grabbed his vest and walked outside, scanning the distance. Marla saw the tension in his shoulders and came out wiping her hands on a rag. "What is it?" "Could be nothing," he said. Could be someone looking for something they shouldn't, she swallowed. He found us before. He'll find us again. Hawk didn't ask who he was. He just whispered, then he'll regret it. That night rain came hard and sudden. The compound's floodlights flickered through the storm. Hawk stood by the garage window, watching shadows dance across the gravel. Marla appeared beside him, a mug of coffee in her hand. Couldn't sleep? Storms like this, he said, always feel like warnings. She handed him the mug, or maybe clean slates. For a moment they stood shoulder to shoulder, quiet except for the sound of rain hitting tin. Then a crash. The window of the front room shattered. Hawk spun, weapon drawn. The men poured out from their bunks, boots pounding. Diesel killed the lights. Headlights glared through the fence. A figure stood in the rain, holding something small and metallic, then another. Gunfire cracked the night. Down! Hawk shouted, pulling Marla behind a bike. Bullets sparked off chrome and steel. Ellie screamed from the kitchen. Hawk crawled through broken glass, returning fire into the dark. When it stopped, the silence roared louder than the storm. Diesel kicked open the door. Who the hell was that? Hawk picked up a dropped casing, heart pounding. Stamped initials EJ. The rain had stopped, but the ground still bled mud. Diesel dragged a duffel from the fence line, ammo, maps, and a single Polaroid. Marla and Ellie, taken from a distance. Marla's face went white. He's alive, she whispered. Hawk studied the photo. Your husband? Her voice cracked. He's not a husband. He's a ghost with a temper. Hawk folded the photo and slipped it into his vest pocket. Then we bury ghosts the old-fashioned way. Marla shook her head. You can't fight him. He's got people. He always had people. Hawk stepped closer, voice low. So do I. That night the angels gathered around the long table. Guns, maps, silence. Hawk stood at the head, eyes cold. They came for a woman and a kid, he said. That makes it our fight now. Diesel grinned. Guess dinner's over. Outside, the desert wind rose again, carrying grit across the cracked blacktop. And in that wind, the club's vow echoed like thunder. No one touches family, not while we breathe. By dawn, the yard looked like a war prep. Rifles cleaned, chains tightened, and the air thick with gasoline and purpose. Marla stood near the kitchen door, holding Ellie close. You don't have to do this, she said. Hawk turned, his eyes softer than his voice. That man put holes in our walls, Marla. He made it our business. Diesel handed Hawk a pack of smokes. Cameras caught the truck again. Same ridge. He's watching. Marla bit her lip. He doesn't stop. He gets obsessed. He used to say if he couldn't have us, nobody would. Hawk walked up to her slowly, hand brushing the doorway. You got me now. And that means you got us. For a moment her guard cracked, the weight she'd carried alone finally finding ground. I don't know how to thank you, she whispered. You don't, he said. You just stay. Ellie peeked up at Hawk. Are you going to make the bad guy go away? He knelt down, meeting her eyes. Yeah, kid. We make bad men disappear for a living. They called it Operation Dustline. Diesel, Snake, and Cutter scouted the ridge, while Hawk and Marla stayed back. Setting up decoys, 2 burned-out bikes rigged with motion sensors and floodlights. The plan was simple. Draw him out, see what they were up against. At noon, the desert hummed with heat. A single pickup appeared on the horizon. No plates, same black paint, same slow crawl. Marla's pulse spiked. That's him, she said. Through binoculars, Hawk saw the driver's arm, tattooed wrist, ring on his thumb, and that crooked scar running across his jaw. Your ex? She nodded. Eli Jennings. He parked half a mile out, stepped into the open sun, and yelled toward the compound, You can't hide behind your biker boyfriends forever, Marla. His voice carried like poison across the wind. Hawk's jaw flexed. Diesel's voice cracked over the radio. You want us to take the shot? Hawk hesitated. No, not yet. He looked at Marla, then at Ellie, watching from the window. Some devils, Hawk muttered. You gotta face eye to eye. The next day, Eli came closer, parked right at the gate, waving an envelope in the air. Custody papers, he sneered. You think you can keep my daughter from me? Good law and blood on my side. Hawk stepped out, unarmed, hands at his sides. The angels watched from the porch, tense and ready. You don't have law, Hawk said. You got fear, and you used it till it broke her. Eli's grin flickered. She tell you that? She didn't have to. Her eyes did. Eli chuckled, but his voice trembled. You think you can save her? You're just another patch-wearing criminal. Hawk stepped forward, boots crunching gravel. Yeah, he said. But I'm the kind that doesn't run from family. Eli's smile died. Hawk reached out, snatched the envelope, and tore it in half. Next time you show up here, he said, voice low as thunder, bring a priest, not a lawyer. Eli's gaze darted past Hawk, to the porch, to Marla's tearful face. He spat on the dirt and drove off, but Hawk saw it in his eyes. He'd be back, and not alone. The sun fell slow that evening, bleeding over the desert like an open wound. Inside the clubhouse, the brothers loaded magazines and checked the fuel tanks. Marla cooked silently, her hands shaking but steady, each clang of metal mixing with the clatter of pots. Ellie colored at the corner table, drawing a big motorcycle with angel wings and a woman riding behind it. Hawk walked in, setting his pistol on the counter. She okay? Marla nodded. She's braver than me. Doesn't take bravery, Hawk said softly. Takes love. For a long moment the kitchen smelled of stew and gun oil, two worlds colliding under the same roof. Then Ellie looked up. Mom, is he gonna hurt you again? Marla froze. Hawk crouched by the girl. Not while I'm breathing, kid. Outside, lightning flashed across the ridge. Diesel called from the window. Movement. 3 vehicles. Hawk grabbed his vest. Showtime. Marla pulled Ellie close. Stay with me, baby. Hawk gave her one last look, the kind that says more than words ever could. Then he stepped into the storm. Engines roared through the desert night like war drums. 3 black trucks surrounded the compound, their lights cutting through rain and dust. The angels moved with surgical precision, no shouting, no panic, just loyalty forged in fire. Eli's voice boomed from a loudspeaker. Hand her over, Hawk. I just want what's mine. Hawk raised his shotgun toward the gate. You lost that when you started hitting what was yours. Gunfire split the night. Bullets sparked against the steel gate. Diesel returned fire, the muzzle flash lighting his grin. Inside, Marla shielded Ellie under the counter, whispering prayers she'd forgotten years ago. The storm raged louder. Lightning flashed. Hawk ducked behind a Harley, firing twice. One truck veered, crashing into the fence. Through the chaos, Hawk saw Eli, face twisted, eyes wild, screaming her name. Marla! And then Hawk saw it, the gun in Eli's hand turning toward the kitchen window. Hawk ran without thinking, dove through the mud, and pulled the trigger first. The blast echoed, final and fierce. When the smoke cleared, Eli Jennings was gone. The rain finally stopped. Steam lifted from the asphalt as the dawn broke pale and trembling. The compound was scarred, bullet holes in the gates, shattered glass across the porch, but alive. Diesel patched a wound on his shoulder, muttering curses. Snake dragged one of the enemy's trucks out toward the highway. Hawk sat on the steps, shotgun across his knees, eyes hollow but steady. Marla came out quietly, a blanket around her shoulders. Ellie clung to her side, small hand gripping tight. She looked at Hawk, then at the dark smear of mud near the fence where Eli fell. It's over, she whispered. Hawk shook his head. No, Marla, it's done. Over means it mattered once. Done means it's gone. She nodded slowly, tears falling without fear this time. Ellie stepped forward, holding out something small, Hawk's fallen patch. You dropped this, she said softly. He took it, thumb brushing the angel wings embroidered in red. Thanks, kid, he murmured. Guess I needed reminding what they stand for. Days passed. The compound healed in slow silence. Marla cleaned, cooked, helped patch the bullet holes, and never once complained. Ellie followed Diesel around, asking endless questions about engines and chrome. "Can bikes fly if they go fast enough?" she'd ask. Diesel always smiled. "Only if your heart's lighter than the gas tank, kid." The brothers started calling her Little Wing. Hawk spent long hours alone by the garage, repairing his Harley's cracked mirror. Every scar, every dent felt like something earned. Marla joined him one evening, handing him coffee. "You saved us," she said quietly. He didn't look up. "Now we just stopped running." She leaned against the frame. "You ever think about leaving all this behind?" "The club, the fights." Hawk smiled faintly. "Every damn day. Then I remember, if I didn't wear the patch, I'd have nowhere to bring lost souls like you." She smiled, a real one this time. "Then maybe we're both where we're supposed to be." He nodded slowly, meeting her eyes. "Yeah, maybe we finally are." Weeks later, the clubhouse felt different, warmer somehow. Marla cooked in the kitchen, while the brothers laughed around the table. Ellie darted between chairs, smearing flour on everyone's cuts like war paint. Hawk leaned back, just watching. For once, he wasn't thinking about the next fight, the next threat. Just the sound of laughter bouncing off old wood. Diesel raised a toast. "To the cook who turned our war room into a damn home." Marla flushed, shaking her head. "You men fight too much to call it home." Hawk smirked. "Homes ain't quiet. They're just worth fighting for." Later that night, as everyone drifted off, Hawk walked out to the porch. Marla joined him, arms crossed against the cold. The desert was silent, stars stretching forever. "Think he's really gone?" she asked. "Yeah," Hawk said. "Ghosts don't haunt places that have peace." She turned to him, eyes soft. "And do you?" He exhaled, long and low. "Not anymore." In the silence that followed, neither moved. They didn't need to. It was a Sunday morning when a letter arrived. No name, just a wax seal and a folded piece of paper that smelled faintly of gun oil. Inside, a short line in crooked handwriting. "You did right by her, Hawk. Let the dust settle." J. Hawk folded it, slipped it into his vest pocket and said nothing. Maybe an old Fed, maybe an enemy turned ghost. Either way, it didn't matter. He walked out to the yard where Ellie sat, polishing her new mini-bike. "Got plans for that ride, Little Wing?" She grinned. "Yeah, gonna take Mom to town. Maybe get ice cream." Marla laughed from the porch. "She doesn't even know how to start it." Hawk handed Ellie the key. "Then she's gonna learn." As the engine sputtered to life, the whole yard lit up with noise and pride. Diesel whooped, Marla clapped, and Hawk, he just smiled. That quiet, rare smile that says, "This is what family sounds like." That night, the desert glowed amber under the setting sun. The angels gathered for their ride, engines humming in harmony, chrome reflecting gold. Hawk pulled his gloves tight and looked at Marla standing in the doorway, Ellie perched on her hip. "You sure you gotta go?" she asked. He nodded. "Gotta ride sometimes. Reminds me I'm still breathing." She stepped closer, eyes glimmering. "Then come back when you remember why." He paused, then smiled. "Yeah, I think I already do." As the bikes roared off down the long highway, dust trailing behind like memory, Ellie waved until the rumble faded into night. In the stillness that followed, Marla whispered to herself, "He said we were family. Maybe that's all we ever needed." The wind carried it softly through the empty road. If this story made your heart ride a little faster, if you felt that loyalty, that redemption, that fire, then hit subscribe. Tap the bell and keep your engines warm. Because here, every road tells a story, and every angel finds a home.